about, because it's like pretty much an outline slide. But then everything I'm going to do, I'm just going to do in Xcode and just talk you through it, as I'm doing it up here. So I'll just be mirroring my screen. All right. So with that, what we're going to talk about? Well, we're going to talk about UIKit, which just a little bit, it's basically the main framework in iOS. Anyone who's done any type of Mac development, Mac has Foundation and Cocoa. The Foundation has become an iOS UIKit. And then we're going to talk about controllers. This 2 and 3 are probably the most important parts about this talk, given that the controllers are. Wait, where's this cartoon? Because I need water. Hopefully they'll bring it to me, but I shall continue. So controllers are used everywhere in iOS, right? How many of you actually have iPhones? Simple things. Right, okay, so when you go to your phone app, right, you see tabs at the bottom, right? Then one of the tabs is you have your address bar, okay? That's a tab bar controller. That's a navigation controller, right? If you look at clock, you have a table view, right? You have a table view and tab view. These controllers that I'm going to talk about and show you through are everywhere, right? Basically, they provide you a lot of functionality. And the rule when you're programming iOS, in general, is if you're trying to find a roundabout way to do something, you're probably doing it wrong. Okay? Apple has put years of programming research into making this as easy and as efficient as possible. Okay? And then going hand in hand with controllers, these should really be the same one, but it wouldn't look good if they were
Hi everybody.
two lines here.
Who's here for the second presentation of the Android tutorial?
The delegates data sources, those are protocol extensions
a good amount of people. Good.
Need to be implemented if you actually implement certain controllers.
We're going to write our first Android app, and the app is going to be on GitHub. So we're going to get the link for you right now. So go to this link. Once you can see the link,
so like I said,
don't clone it. Don't do anything he says. Just
framework in
go
iOS.
through the code.
Similar to sort of the .NET, C# Windows forms, we have UIKit, right?
He says don't clone it because you're just
much, unless it's
we gotta build it ourselves.
Where they get their own graphics. That's a UIKit button, right? Text fields, labels, tables, your navigation elements, all of that is provided to you with actually you having to do very little work. Okay? And the great thing about this is because the app is really good.
We're giving you the GitHub repository for the app we made, which we are going to build together in the next 2 sessions. I'm giving it to you guys in case you're not able to follow along or you can't see the screen exactly what we're typing. It's the full, complete application we're going to build. It works perfectly, so it's just there as reinforcement. But you shouldn't really need it because we'll be great teachers.
Xcode. It might be an additional download. I don't remember. I always install it. There's a lot of documentation of how to use the different classes. And in fact, if you actually get into iOS development,
alright, so I guess I'll just show you
things you're going to memorize and just know how to do from repetitive use.
The next 2 sessions. So this is the complete full.
What do I do with it? Go to the reference docs
eventually
and look it up.
It's your simple to
just
do app.
Important thing in coding in general.
It's pretty cool. So you load it up. You have your tasks and you're completed. But right now I don't have anything. You go in and we can add.
You realize you just start to learn concepts, code structures, and pretty much you know the how to code, but you become
I don't know why it's not.
Right. So if I want to do this in this language. Oh, let me go to the reference documents, right? So
I literally just made it up this afternoon, so
training wheel said.
Can't expect it to be perfect. So yeah, you got your basic to-dos.
Okay. So there's no shame in going to the reference docs.
Row item.
And Google.
You can actually either mark it complete or delete it.
And the other thing about this is there's self-classed heavily. So you guys should all kind of have an idea of what's in this from first presentation.
Okay, so we got our 3.
A lot of these things you'll find are subclass.
Delete it, which deletes.
An example would be
you can select one and mark it complete.
Buttons and text fields and labels.
Go to the completed tab, it's there, and then you can delete stuff from completed. So,
I think it's UI control.
Very simple to do app. It's usually what everyone does when it comes to app making. So,
and you actually, when you use them, you'll
so let's get started.
Okay?
For this, we're going to start like a
their
blank
API. Is
uh,
that what this basically is?
application. So just follow along with me at the beginning, and then if you want to work ahead, you can. If you don't,
It's more of a
free not
framework
to.
because of actually what it is.
All right. So the way we're going to be doing this is he's going to be typing. I'm going to be
Like I
talking.
said, controllers.
I actually haven't seen his app.
We're going to go
so it's
through
gonna be kind of
the
like,
3 most common,
whose line is it anyway? In a
which are
sense.
navigation
So
controllers, tab
I'm just going to
controllers,
be narrating what he's doing and
controllers,
trying to explain.
and these
So
terminal
yeah, so if you
screenshots,
open
which
up
I grab
Android
off
Studio,
of
go to get a new project going.
Searching for these things.
And then when we actually get to our, we're
shows
gonna
both navigation controllers, tab view controllers, and table views, all in one. Yeah?
basically.
And there's a lot more.
And also,
Why
at
I
any point,
have
please raise your hand. If you get stuck, please raise your hand. If yes, yeah, this is what I was going to talk about. What we're doing right now, before we selected a blank activity, right now what we're going to do is an application drawer activity, just so it lays out the application drawer for us.
1, 2, 3, 5 slides.
Yeah, we could, if we wanted to, go to blank activity and add fragments in, and do the navigation drawer activity. But I more than likely would forget to talk about some things. So if we go and kind of like cheat, load in there for us, we're able to go through and explain guys. So that's why we're not hard coding ourselves.
And yeah, like I was saying, please, if you guys get stuck, raise your hands. It would actually be helpful to address questions of people getting stuck because other people might be having the same issue. So yeah,
would you guys mind if that screen? What do you guys prefer?
We haven't lost anybody yet. This is pretty basic. We're at a pretty basic point.
People,
So we're going to go ahead and
something came up on the screen here.
start our application with this application drawer template.
So then, okay, verbal response would be good. Is everyone okay with the last?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, so we're going to start up. Xcode.
So is that text still good for everybody? Is there anybody in the back row that's still here for the presentation? You guys, okay, so we still need to have it turned up this high. Okay, so you guys can all see it though? Okay, awesome. So as you can see, as opposed to a blank activity, there's a good amount added
also the concepts in here also
additional
apply to Mac applications.
at the beginning of this
because there's
project.
actually
As I said before,
in the design
most of this stuff, don't worry about how it works right
and
now.
part of that is because
If you would like to, just look
underlying.
it up. You can find out how it works. We are not going to be going over exactly how all of this works right from the start. We're going to be going over how the stuff that we're adding works, but not necessarily all of the nuances of an application or of a drawer. Alright, so Matt, what are we going to do next here?
I'm going to do underscore v3 because I tested this out with UIKit v2 in the last hour to make sure it all worked okay.
Alright, so right now,
so the default view of
I want you guys
there's a bunch
just
of
to,
I guess you would call it paperwork about
kick up your just start your Genie motion
your bundle number, your
device.
version,
So just open
your
up Genie.
identifiers for you publish on the App Store, and
if you
stuff
haven't
like
done it,
what do you want to deploy to? By default,
in
it always picks the most recent
normal emulator, which I'll show you.
You can actually pick a lower number,
has
and what the
anyone
does
had any
in
problem
terms
getting
of how you
Genie
interact with
working?
it is,
Other than-
let's say you pick deployment
So
target to be iOS
from this
7.
point out, I'm just going to assume that you
Well,
guys
if
have
you
it.
use something that was
Sorry,
from
but we gotta
iOS
just kind of
8,
do that.
and
So
your
if
target
you
is
know how to
on
start
iOS
it or add, you can
the color's going to yell at you.
so just double click on the machine to start it. I already have one running, so I'm
So,
not going to do that.
yeah, the way Apple chooses the ecosystem, usually the most recent thing is
Now,
fine.
no, it doesn't matter what version. I'm using the Nexus just because
About 80%
that's actually what I develop on, so I'll know if it looks the same.
of Apple devices are on the most recent
I mean, if
OS.
we want to, you can start up multiple devices and have them talk to each other and communicate. You can actually text
And
between
then,
the two devices on the computer,
interface, status
which is why
bar,
Genie Motion's cool.
just a bunch of,
Because the normal emulator, you can't do that.
I
So
called it the
I'm just doing
table
7
map.
because it looks the same.
Okay. Oh, actually, let me change this
Well then, it doesn't matter if your device isn't on there. What matters is the API level. So, if your device is in there, it's no big deal. Because
So then,
the only huge difference is the screen
yes.
resolution, which
Xcode.
probably has Android has 5 pixel density, and there's none that aren't like in that pixel density.
So,
So you
let's start with the
can
basic view.
there, it's just API level.
This doesn't get any bigger, but
I
okay.
just
So on the side here, you'll see your project.
Nice.
Has anyone worked with?
Yeah. Question.
Yeah. I'm
using Lollipops,
so this
which is
same
5.
thing as you would see in a clip. That's your project navigator.
No, that's.
Alright, if you have
20 or 21?
multiple
20,
projects open in this workspace,
yeah, 20 is KitKat, 21 is Lollipop.
multiple projects in
It's
the
no big
bottom.
deal. The only real difference is what
And
it's going to look like. So yours won't eventually
if
look
you
like
were
this,
clicking on a
but it
file,
looks very similar.
opens up in a text editor. Just
Yeah,
like any
because-
normal IDE.
Yeah, so everything I use is actually
and we'll get to some of the more powerful features as we go on, because it's easier to explain as you actually do them, rather than saying, oh, it does this, it does that.
Okay, so once you get started, all I want you guys to do is
create a lot of these files for you.
corner all the way up top.
So
You see that little button that says run. Alright,
We
so I want you
see,
guys just to
controller.zip.
click it for now.
We see launchscreen.nib.
So I'm going to be doing most of the talking, and Gus is just going to walk around, ask questions.
Still pronounced.
And if you have any questions, just yell at Gus and he'll
before the sort of transition. They used to be actually that
help me,
NIP.
Gus. My
And that was before it was integrated into.
Alright, so as you can see, I have my Nexus 7 plugged in, but you want to choose your G Motion
If you're in
Google Nexus 7.
the
Click OK. And then scroll over to the Nexus, and here you go. Here is the basic application we needed to begin with. So what you guys can actually see is this is what
on the top right, you see these different
tech page here to do.
sidebars.
There's all of our different sections.
So if I were to
We have
unhide
our
left, project view goes
overflow
away,
menu, which is a little few
and
dots on the side.
or if I hide the left, unhide the right,
So you can
and then
click,
I have a
click another section. There you go, section 2. Click another one, section
information
3.
related to the
Right
items that
there.
I'm
Example action.
You'll be going through
Create a
these
toast, which
in
is
more depth
so
as this goes on.
toasting is that little thing at the bottom. It's good for debugging. And then you have your overflow menu, which is normally where you see things like settings, all that fun stuff.
And we'll start at the app delegate.
So right away you can see why it's
This is
easier
the
to see
entry point of your
all
program.
the animations are complete for us.
So basically,
So
when
let's
your
go and
program
look
runs
how
inside iOS, right? So user has their phone, the naked their
go
icon.
and look at our
The iOS operating system.
in our
Yeah. So I got a question. Is this
resources folder. There's a folder called layout.
Objective C.
Sorry I can't make the sidebar a little bit bigger for you guys, but I don't know why. So it's just gonna. So it's in your resources folder, which is RES, and it looks like it has a little pound symbol next to the folder. So you go in there, and then there's a layout folder, and then open up activity main.xml. So this is the main XML
I know
layout
it's
for the entire
organization identifier, so
So as you can see, the main XML tag is Android, support 3-4 widgets for layout. So it's looking for that widget, and it's going to import it. It's just telling the application how it's going to work. Within there, you can see a frame layout, which is the full content of the application. It's the actual, this area, the big white area where we're going to put information. That's what that frame is. Now, fragment is the actual board itself. If you just run the layout, fragment navigation door, taking that XML file and putting it in there too.
Application.
So that's the basic.
Finish launching with options.
So this frame layout I'm highlighting right here is
we'll enter foreground.
this fragment right here, and this fragment here is the navigation drawer.
That you can subscribe to.
So what's happening is when it's rendered, it's putting it all into one. If we wanted to, you could put everything into one XML file, but as you can imagine, you have a giant application that is not going to work too well.
Don't worry about the stuff at the bottom. You shouldn't have that. You didn't stuff for data. Okay.
The next thing we want to do
is this did finish launching with options.
So I'll go through how it's actually being made now.
So
you go in your Java folder,
in
the com, not the tests, because we're not going to worry about the view right now. You can see your main activity. And this is like we talked about in the first session, your main method, like a normal Java program. On create, we're getting our navigation drawer, and we are inflating it.
After that,
we're going to put the title.
that they do happens. So basically,
and
this
we are
process of booting up your app. The last thing that happens is your application delegate, which is this, gets called. Didn't finish launching. So anything that you want to do sort of as a final, okay, my app is launched, any type of initialization, that will usually happen right inside this function. Right? Also, any variables that you wanted to be sort of global and passed around, in your app delegate is a good place to hop in. All right? So, let's go to the main storyboard. What we have here is an empty view. Actually, specifically, an empty view inside a view controller. All right? Just about every view that you drag out will have an associated view.
John here.
Right-hand side,
so you can yell at him
you have
too.
this view controller scene.
Okay, so you didn't have any questions on how the layout works to begin with?
There's your view controller. The code that acts as view controller.
So now let's go into our main activity Java. So main activity in our XML right here, this context.
So everyone remember this syntax?
That tells the application that is the first activity that's going to be run when we start our application. Okay. That's also defined in our build Gradle, but for the purpose of this session, we're not going to worry about that.
What does this
in our main activity? There's our onCreate. We make the navigation on the navigation bar.
So this is the class that I'm creating here.
Right here.
And
those strings are in our values folder.
This is a superclass. Right. So you have the
strings.
subclass.
So they're all here. So you guys could just go into your resources folder. There's another folder called values, and there
inherits a lot of methods, a lot of functions and variables that exist in view controller.
So I'm going to name the first section to do.
And there's a muted load, which
and then I'm going to call the second one to done.
I can't imagine you having to deal with this.
And then I'm actually going to end up deleting section 3 because we don't want a section 3, we don't need one. So let's click delete.
Your application is never going to be the only one that a user runs.
Let's try running our application and see what happens.
With the operating system.
Uh-oh, we have an error.
With
so
phone apps,
error, if you guys can't read, which probably can't.
All those apps, they use up memory. They use up
actually says cannot find symbol variable.
If your app ever gets too greedy or just gets too big.
When I deleted that
iOS needs
I
need some memory back.
So let's find it.
What's going to happen is this is going to be called.
So on section attached in our main activity. What happens is when we click one of those drawer activities, one of the drawers in the list. Sorry.
So
we click one of the items in the list.
That's usually what you will do.
We're going to try and display the title. But because we only have 2 sections now, we need to get rid of this third case.
But you probably don't have to worry about this for this 24-hour period.
Try running one time.
If you ever want to build a bigger, more substantial application,
one more
these are functions that are actually going to be very useful.
Title section 3. So, in our onCreate view, in our drawer fragment, we're trying to make the names of the actual drawer. So we have to get rid of that too.
If I click run, what do you think is going to happen?
Now when we run, it should work.
I wouldn't say exactly nothing. What is actually given to you when you just start a new project?
And choose running device.
It will build.
And here you go.
So here is the iOS simulator launch screen, and this is the application. It did not run. In fact, it's running great. From an operating perspective, this is a great application.
After that,
it uses almost
next thing I like to do
is nothing on it.
It's
very efficient.
Action bar, which is the very top area.
So it's running, it's just fine. But it's just not doing anything useful.
What's example action? We don't really know what that is. So some things that we could add to our to-do is an add something to it.
Let's do that. Let's do something useful.
Yeah. So next thing we can do is add something. So we don't really want to say example action. Example
and I'm also
action.
going to
we want to say add to-do.
This one.
One other thing before I go any further, if you notice,
by the way, ever since like the
you notice my app, there are all these wonderful icons up here. Those aren't actually built for Android. It's just something I did. If you guys want to try and mess around with using icons instead of text, go ahead. It's not too difficult. You can probably figure it out if you try doing that. But for now, I'm just going to use text.
This is actually a very generic aspect ratio.
So let's go back to our to-do.
I digress.
Here we go. To-do.
So let's do something very basic.
Example action. It's going to
If we
be
go in our right
action
bar,
bar. So first thing I would check,
at the bottom,
change
you'll see
anything
this
text related in
document
that, is I go to the strings.
pair of braces.
Oh, there it is. Action example.
And I don't know what
So,
that is.
I want to rename it to
Hover over
something.
to show object library.
Does anyone know what refactoring is? Raise your hand if you know what refactoring is. Okay, so not too many. Refactoring, when it comes to anything mobile development or development in general, is your best friend. So, as you saw before, when I changed one of the navigation drawer names, I had to go through and delete stuff, which is a pain.
See view controller. We see navigation controller.
You don't want to do that. So what you want to do is refactor.
Remember I said they're used a lot?
Let's click our name,
Apple makes
action example, and what I'm going to do is
right
right-click, or you can go up to refactor. I'm going to do right-click, refactor, name.
What we're still going to do is we're going to deal with view control. So if we scroll down a bit, we see
how many people are currently following along, like actively, because they're having no trouble?
UI kit elements.
Okay.
Labels,
how many people are having trouble with the virtual device?
Segmented controls, text fields, sliders, switches, progress views.
Alright, so I've seen a lot of the errors that you guys are seeing. Matthew, have you seen errors before on
down, collection views, table views, scroll views, date pickers.
Anybody who's having errors,
you
please
open up your alarm clock and you want to.
What are you guys seeing up there?
Hit a time in that scroll view. There's a built-in kit for that.
Yeah, what is it?
Very useful. But
okay. Alright. Anybody who's like not their virtual device is starting.
So
anything ever like that. Yeah. What are you seeing?
We're gonna have a slider. We're gonna have a progress view bar. We're gonna have a label.
It just fails to start.
Okay. And the first thing we'll do.
Okay, guys. If that doesn't work, go into Android Studio and launch the normal emulator without using GD Motion. I've never had a problem with GD Motion before. Windows or Mac or Linux, so these are first things, but I guess when you have a lot of people.
These guidelines that appear are very useful in a number of ways. Apple has a long document. It's pretty much a book. It's called the Apple Human Interface Design Guidelines, I believe. It literally goes through, and they talk about how you should design your user interface. Yeah. Boring read.
That's
unless you're into that stuff.
So they can't do the normal emulation either.
Those blue lines help you conform to that without ever reading that document.
Let's see then.
But that being said, that document wasn't written just willy-nilly. A lot of research actually went into it in terms of, there's a reason why your icon sizes are the way they are. Right, so
for now, if it's not running,
this is the optimal size for someone to
Gus is just going to come around and try helping you guys. For those who don't have it up and running, just follow along and type with me in Android Studio. If you do everything I do, it should work. Sorry we couldn't get like better stuff working.
Well, drag out a progress view bar?
For now, just follow along. Okay, so like I said,
we'll drag out
so if everyone would just, so who has this actual project?
And we'll drag out a button. No?
Yeah, who created the project?
If I want to give the label some other default text, just double click it and I can type it.
Yeah, okay. So if everyone has the project open in all the files I'm viewing it, I just want you guys to go into your resources folder, your values, and your strings.xml file. So we all can just get on the same page.
If you were to just run this, what do you think would happen?
Okay. So once there, back to the point I was originally talking about is we're going to want to rename the one.
Well, it is kind of just displaying.
Up in the action bar.
It's not going to be functional. We didn't actually write anything.
It wouldn't make sense to call it action example when it's actually adding.
On screen.
So let's rename it to action add.
Yeah.
So before, right click, refactor, rename, call it action, add,
Yep.
factor.
So if you look at the top here,
Try running it again.
see that simulator? You can switch that to iPhone 5 if you want.
And it still works. So what happened was, it went through every single file in the project and found any occurrence where name, where r.id is action add, and action example, and changed it to action add. So now we can change it to
this symbol down here.
add to do. Now if we run again,
Let me text my controller.
Yes.
now if we run again and look at that. In the top right, you can see add to do.
Collection view. I'm not going to go into that, but
Rename,
I will go into it.
which is really easy. That's why the strings folder is very, very, very nice. Strings file. So, next thing we want to do is, let's just change the toast. And I can say action add to do. So toast
So what we're
is
going to
going
do
to
is
be
we're going
made
to all
within
command A
the main
or
activity. So
actually go through and select them individually. But
toast.
command A is what I do. And then at the bottom, I'm going to say add missing constraints. Okay? What this will do is puts a bunch of these lines in. And what that says is, okay, I'm going to tie this from the edge of the screen by this much. So now if I were to run it,
Okay, so the toast is actually within the navigation drawer fragments. So open up your navigation drawer fragment.java, and then just hit Control F or Command F and type in toast, and it should take you to this line, which is line 250 for this volume. So example action. So we can change it to something like
okay, so it was working when I did it
add
myself.
to do action.
It's working for other people.
Again.
Right. So this is just. So really?
With the action,
Not created these down.
and say add to do action at the bottom. So we have our basic navigation setup, and we have our basic action bar setup. Next thing we need to do is add the fragments. So in session 1, we're talking about activities, we're talking about fragments. This entire application here that you see.
Okay, so we have an interface.
Application.
And look, we can slide a slider around.
Activity.
Nothing.
The application is the activity.
We can move in the user interface.
If we go and we open up our navigation drawer, you see
But now we want to link this to code.
to do is one
So let me
fragment.
sort of break the module controller because what we're just sort of demoing is UI.
So next thing I want to do,
So in the controller, I'm actually going to put the logic.
our package, which is in our Java folder, the Java. And you see com dot, it's going to be your name more than likely, dot whatever your application
the two
is called.
circles?
So I'm going to create a
We're going
new
to open up an assistant editor.
package.
Xcode
Follow
is
good
smart.
Java practices.
It
So
knows what files are related to what files. Now, if you had a big screen, that
and
when
then
they
within the
put two
fragments,
things side by
let's
side,
create two new
Xcode would, sort of.
Oh god.
That
You just suck. This is still like halfway.
It's like a class. Anyway, thank you. Text people water refill? They come. I can use this. Xcode knows what files should be operated on at the same time. So in this case, we have our storyboard, and here's the view controller that is backed by it.
So right
And
now,
you can know that
this is just your
because
basic
if we select
Java
the actual view controller
but in
on this right panel,
okay.
if you
So yeah, it's a little hard to see up there. But
this
in the package, there's another package
one
called fragments,
shall identity
and then
inspector,
inside that package, you're gonna add
the
two.
class is called the class
One,
of this
I called one of them
is view controller.
to do fragment.
If you wanted
So
to make it
in the
a
fragments
more
package,
generic,
we're gonna put our fragments.
you want view
So
controller.
this is just basic good Java practice right now.
Because we want to subclass it because we want to
So
add
in the fragments
custom
package, you
functionality
include a
in.
to-do fragment class
Our subclass
and a
is
to-done
controller.
fragment class.
Which is
You can call them whatever you want. It's just
Please don't do
Good
it.
idea to
I'm
keep
not
the
gonna, I'm
names
not gonna
in
continue
context
that
of
a
the
lot.
application. Oh, you have to create it. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, you have to create it.
What we want to do
The package I created.
is now do
You could
something
just put
with
the
the
class
slider,
in the
with
normal
the view,
package,
with
but
the
it's
label.
usually good to break up your application
So
by
I'll do
packages.
this side by
And
side.
that's what they are there for, after all.
If I control, click, and drag the magical blue wand, it gives me
So
the option
is everyone good with
to
creating those two classes,
add an
those two
outlet.
fragment classes?
I need to give it a name.
Anyone having trouble creating the
And
two
what
fragment
type is it?
classes?
Well, I know the type because it dragged it out itself. So I'm going to call this my slider. Control, click, magic blue bar. And so I'm going to do it for almost all of these. I'll grab the progress view. Do the same thing.
Let me come look real quick. Did you just create a new,
And
is it just a blank
I will
class?
drag the button out. Well, I don't really need the button, to be honest. Don't drag the button out. I don't need it. I'll drag the label out, though. What do they do?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Or you can just type this by hand.
Yeah.
Um,
So I would just leave it at that.
Now, what this told us, or what this did, is this added variables into our view controller. So now our view controller has some idea of the view that it is communicating with. Right? If we remember back to the model view controller that I explained about in the first session, the controller and the view communicate. And the view then communicates with the user. Right? But the model never has to know about this. This is setting up the link between your view and your controller. Anyone who's just done an Android program, you wish it was this simple. Okay. So this at IB outlet, this is what tells the.
All right. So once everyone gets those two
this
classes per
has
fragment in there,
some place to go
next
inside
thing
the
we do is make our fragments
So when I go to
actually
the
be fragments.
controller,
Right now they're just normal Pojo,
and
no Java.
click the
So
connections on the
what do we
side,
do?
it allows me.
Our main
to
activity
click
actually
the
created a fragment for us, which is that placeholder fragment, which is blank.
The
So you
user
can see
interface.
public static class placeholder fragment extends fragment. So we need to make our fragments extend fragment too.
So now I want to do something. So this slider has a value range. I believe the default is 0 to 1. Okay. Progress bar also displays a range, and the progress that it has, it fills up a certain amount. Right? So we're just going to link the two.
Awesome.
Oh, and then we also
So-
want the decimal value that comes out of it, just for good measure. Alright? So what we want to do is whenever we slide the bar, we want the other two elements to update. Okay? Very simple, but it demonstrates the sort of. So what do we want to do? Well, we need a function that gets called. So how do we declare a function?
So
Func.
the first
Remember to
thing
call it
I would do is
value.
looking back at our different fragments, I'm going to make our to-do
And
fragment
what we
basically
wanna do
look like this placeholder
is
fragment that they
Take
created.
our label
So
and set
I'm
it to
just
be
going to copy
whatever the
the first
value that the
couple
slider
lines. I'm just going to type them,
himself.
just actually going to copy and paste them
My
over.
label. Notice code
Um,
completion helps you.
It's not super important to
Uh,
understand what's going on. It's just one of those things, kind of like a navigation drawer, that you won't really understand until a more advanced level. But for now, they work.
Oh, not my label, sorry, my slider. That's
So,
fine. Whoops. Yep, that value.
if you use little red lines, so I'm sure you guys getting all of these like red errors. They're not actually errors. It's just telling you that this package is not imported.
But value, and look what it returns. A float. Okay. We want that, so we do var x.
So, to click import, just
So now this
for
var
Windows
x
people, it's
is
all
going to
integer.
have the value
For
of
Mac people, it's
How do you
optional.
want to set the other things? So let's set the progress bar first. So under self, that my progress
Next
bar.
thing we need to do.
That set progress.
We need to rename these placeholder fragment areas right here
just for
to do fragment.
these. There we go. Okay. So we want that to be the value that came from here and animated. So animated is whether or not you'll see it slide down gradually or if it'll just jump to, if the user jumped it. I like seeing the animations. I think they're cool. So I'll do an intro.
Sorry, what was that?
So now we have it so that we connected
on the left here?
the slider.
So if you go into your main activity and scroll down towards the bottom,
do is set the labels
your
text.
class.
So self, my label, dot. Notice there's a property of text. Oh, this works for UI button, text fields, a bunch of stuff inherits actually this sort of properties. So you kind of used one, you've used them all. And we want to set that. Now we want a we want a string out of this. So there's a few ways to do it. I'm going to do it the more formal way, which is calling a string function, which builds a function sort of like printf would or sprintf in C. So we're going to do format %, point to f, because we want to display 2 decimal places. And then we're going to just put text there. No? So everyone see where I'm at so far?
I don't have any questions right now.
Now if I go back to the storyboard, I need to connect this with that function.
Question.
Yes.
How do you get one view before where you have your code on one side and your application view on the other side? How can you do that?
Assistant editor, it's the middle one of the second one on the right. So the 2 rings that are, yeah.
And how do I put it in there?
So the best way is you start in storyboard, and then when you open it up, it'll open up the corresponding one.
I know personally I do match pairing for most of my
So,
thing.
have those 3, now we need to connect it.
Ron, you know the difference
So if we
between
use our magic blue stick and try to connect that to
Really?
the view controller.
Okay.
That function doesn't appear yet.
What was that?
Well, that's because we need to tell Xcode that this function gets called by an interaction with the view. So to do that,
If you have an Android phone, that
how
works
we have
too.
the IB outlet, we put the prefix IB action. Okay? Now, when we take this blue line and connect it to view controller,
Yeah.
in the sentiment, value
You guys
change.
good with taking like a 20-minute intermission to try and get everyone fixed, or?
So now, every time the value of this slider changes,
You guys can't.
that function will be called.
For the people following along online,
So, let's go.
we'll be here, but check back in a bit.
Oh, crap. What did I crash on? Oh no, wrapping. Which one is no? No, it's this one. That has a value, so
It's not connected.
what do you mean?
IB outlet require no, doesn't that have to be connected?
Isn't it?
I don't know. There's not a dot next to the second.
Oh, let me see. Controller. Oh, yep, you're right. Never connected the label because I coded it by hand. Thank you. Connect my label. Alright, or you could do it from grabbing here. Just the other way around. Grab from there to there and save my label. Sorry about that. Thank you for that. Now if we do it. Six. Notice we change the slider. The value updates with the value of the slider, and we update our view at the same time. Now we want to implement that reset button. So for good measure, we'll just reset it to halfway. Seems like a decent place. So yet again, we need another IB action, and we'll call it reset. Reset. Now, what we could do here is we could go through, set the value of the slider, and then call that code again, or write that code out. But what I'd rather do is just self.mySlider.value equals halfway, and then I just want to call value changed again. Because even though we have this IB action, that's still a function that we can call. Right? IB action just tells Xcode, you can link this to the view. So now when we press, now we have to link it up. So Control-click reset, magic blue wand, sent event. That's the function we want to connect it to. It already knows on touch up inside to call that function. Let me just verify that. Yep, it worked. So now, when we run it, and we reset, now, you connected a user interface together with a controller. Now, any questions thus far?
Yeah, can I see your IB action function reset?
Yes. Here. Set the value of the slider, and then call value change. Because we already wrote this code, so why rewrite it? We can just call it. No? Is it yours?
Yeah.
Would you have fun?
I got to this set progress.
Okay.
How do you connect the slider?
Connecting slider. So anytime you really want to ever connect anything, it's still that magic blue. So you control-click on it, and you get that magic blue wand.
I don't know. Like, what do you connect?
I'm connecting it to value changed, which is the function that I defined here. Did you declare your IB action?
Yeah.
Anyway, I want to continue because I need to show some other stuff. So that was just a single view. Now we need to talk about embedding views. That's just single view application. We don't want to use that. We want a table view. We want a navigation controller, right? When you go through your music and you see artist, album, song, right? That's a navigation flow. Now how do we do that? Well, if we go back to our storyboard, I'll zoom this out a bit, and do that. I want to embed a navigation controller. So now you'll notice when you drag out a navigation controller, the thing you get automatically is a root view controller that has a table view in it. Because generally you use navigation controllers with the views. But for this, I don't want that. So I will click that and get rid of it. And now what I do is I will magic blue wand it and say relationship segue. That is my root controller. So a navigation controller by itself doesn't have a view that you can lay things out on. Okay? It needs something that supports view. So think of a navigation controller. Same thing with a tab bar controller. They're wrappers for other view controllers. So they'll generally take a view. They own an array of view controllers, and then they display those. So it's almost a view controller for a view controller. That's what they're doing. All right. And I want to now change that arrow to be there. This is the application entry point. That can also be changed by clicking on the actual item and saying it is initial view controller. Or you can just drag that lonely arrow around. So if we were to run the application now, what we would see is an extra space up
You need
here.
help. That is waiting for help. That I can come around to.
It is embedded in a navigation controller. Now the navigation controller doesn't go anywhere, so we don't see any arrows or anything to go back, but we can. So what I want to do is make a blank view. Actually, well, let's do a blank view for now. We'll get there. So we'll take a view controller, a blank one, and we'll attach it at the end. And our segue is going to be a shout. So now we have a sort of a navigation controller hierarchy, right? So we can go from the root, which is this, and we can go on. And if we had another view, we can just append those at the end. Now we need a way to actually do something with this segue. So we need a button to say when we want to transition. So what I'll do is just grab out a quick button, which is here. Yeah, if we zoomed in enough. Yeah. Call this transition. I also want to constrain this. Okay. And now I want when I already connected it. Didn't I? Okay. Either way, I'll get rid of that. Yes. Okay. So now, when I click that button, the view controller will transition. Now, when I said they did a lot of work for you, I wasn't lying. This is what you get with these segues. See how it automatically goes to the next view? And at the top, you already have that back arrow, which automatically brings you back to where you came from. Okay? Now that we have these multiple views inside this view controller, well, we kind of maybe want titles where we're at. So if we go back to our code, and I'll do it this way because I'm writing big. It knows, so that bar that we see at the top of the navigation controller, it knows a lot about the view controllers that are embedded in it. Right? So when I said everything is a hierarchy of these subclasses, I meant everywhere but. So views and view controllers have properties like titles. Right? And they can be displayed in different places. What the navigation controller does by default is takes that title from its sibling view controller, or the view controller that's embedded in it, and it displays it at the top bar. So if I wanted to display, I don't know, just some random title, so what I would do is self dot title equals, and I'll just say UI kid demo. Or yeah, I think it should be that. And I run this. Notice, I set the title of my view controller. Because it's embedded in a navigation controller, the navigation controller says, oh, you have a title. Let me display that for you. Happens automatically for you. You don't have to do any of that. Very useful. Then when I transition, instead of the generic back, you get the title of where you were rather than the back button. You can, however, change that if you want to display something else in the navigation bar. Most of the times you don't want to do that though. If you look at music, right, you don't want your to be in song lists and then go back and see not albums, right? You don't want so. Then we can go back. So that's how you can embed these views and get the default, user interface. Follow Apple's human design guidelines without ever having to read that document. It's useful. All right. So let's move on. Actually, we'll do that. Just close that for a second. Quickly to. Oh, so as I'm running through this, I find I'm running longer than I should be. So I think what I'm going to do is session 3 will just become an extension of session 2. Because everything I wanted to do in session 3, I can actually just transition to from here. So is that going to be okay with everyone? We can just kind of pick up and that's them?
Yeah.
Okay, so is this helpful to people? Okay.
Would you be ready to answer questions after this is done?
Yeah, sure. Especially since I don't have to do as much prep work, since I'm just going to continue this on. Alright, so we have this hierarchical view controller. What if we wanted multiple of these? Right, let's say our application had 2 separate flows, right, but each needed a navigation controller. Well, we can't embed a navigation controller in a navigation controller. Right, we need something else. Any ideas what we could use? All right, be quiet. Whatever. We're going to use the tab bar controller. All right. So actually, I might be able to go back to the slides. I think. Did I put out of them? Yeah, I put out of them. Okay. So if you opened up your phone app or the clock or music, at the bottom you see the different tabs that you can select. So in the phone you have your address book, you have voicemail, you have your phone dialer, music, you have the artists, albums, genres, whatever you configure on the bottom. Well, we're going to use this. So find tab bar controller on the right, and we drag it out. Notice how it is a slightly different view than the navigation controller. Right? We see these tab icons. Oh, those you can actually set as an image, and it actually automatically does the grayscaling for you. Useful to know. I didn't prepare to put images there, but if you read the reference docs, it's a simple function line call once you actually give your image. So it would be UI image with file and then bar button item or something like that. Now, how do you propose we embed this navigation controller view into this tab bar? I'm looking for 3 words. Yeah.
Table view sub?
What?
Table view sub?
No, not using a table view.
Okay.
The magic blue wand, right? Just the way we added stuff into our navigation controller, we want to control click, magic blue wand. We'll see the option, relationship, and view controllers. Right? We'll add that. So while you can think of a navigation controller as a stack to which you push and pop view controllers off, that's the sort of memory management that iOS does. Anyone who wants to talk more in depth about that, we'll go offline. What you can think of as a tab bar controller is an array back storage. So it's not a stack where only one thing is displayed at a time. Well, it is, but it doesn't just keep it in memory. So it keeps an array of view controllers at the bottom to display at any time. So you'll notice when I click that out, you automatically got the 3rd tab bar at the bottom. Okay? So I'm just going to put a label out here. Just to differentiate one from the other. And now I'm just going to press play. Oh, forgot to do one thing, and what did I forget to do? The initial view controller is now this tab bar controller. Okay, so first we have tab bar with things at the bottom. And when you click between them, oh, there's the one I just dragged a random label on. And there's our third one, which also still working. So this is a view controller embedded in a navigation controller, embedded in a tab bar controller. Okay? And there really wasn't much work for you guys to do. Now, if you notice in apps like music, you have the option, there's more than, I believe it's 5 that can fit at the bottom. But if you had more tabs, like in the music app, there's that extra ... that then shows you the extras, and then you can rearrange. If you add more than whatever the supported amount is, I think it's 5. I think it's if you add more than 5 or 4, you actually get that for free. That's handled underlying by the tab view controller. So if you ever say, oh, I have 18 view controllers I want to embed in a tab bar controller, please don't ever do that. But if you ever did, you would actually get that view for free. So that allows them to rearrange it and stuff. All right, and that's tab bar controllers. So we've done navigation controllers, tab bar controllers, standard view controllers, how to link the UI together. I think I'll stop and break here for now because it is 9 o'clock. And in an hour we'll pick back up with table view controllers, and we'll make some sort of to-do app that actually uses this all next to logic. Okay, links.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Kind of compiling or do you want to just take a look?
Wait. Oh, it's not that my progress bar. Wait, that's fine. Let's do it. Oh, it's not.
I think we can recreate this one.
You drag that out?
Oh,
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, I don't know. Ryan, did you go on the website?
Yeah, it wasn't set up yet.
okay.
You had it as a standard UI view. UI progress view inherits from UI view.
Where are you?
It's different. That's fine.
Okay, so
Thank you.
how does you do this thing where you hit the back button on its own?
Yes.
How did you do that? Because I've just been making back buttons.
Oh, here, come, I'll show you here.
Also, do you have different views that go to one? Or does the back button,
Yes, it knows where it came from. Overall, in general, how did that session go? I think it went better than the first. You guys are learning. Is this okay? All right, good. We'll just continue on.